this year, I'd imagine there'd probably be about 250 to 300 people running naked up and down the pit.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rugby Through the Leagues podcast. This week we are welcome to join us with the Flaming Unicorns is actually the man, the myth, the legend that Stu is in person. And we've got Jordan, the organiser from Heart of Wales Sevens, who I had the pleasure of actually going to the tournament last year. A lot of people wind me up saying that Andy Powell stepped me. I'm just going to say moved out my channel. But we are here with the two legends that are, we'll probably start with Jordan because obviously it's the Heart of Wales Sevens episode that we want to try and hopefully coordinate something a little bit bigger. Those that have followed the channel for a while already know Stu, and it's not a mirror. There are two people that look like us. So it's Jordan. Thanks for joining us, mate. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it.
So, Heart of Wales Sevens. For those that haven't been, it's basically lots of massive fields in the hills of Wales. Whether the weather is good or not, there's lots of beer, lots of sports, lots of fun, and some naked running. How did it all come around? How did it all start?
Yeah, well, that's definitely the best introduction this ever had, anyway. I'll give you that one. To be honest with you, it just happened by chance. I think we're coming up to year 11 now. A couple of rugby teams locally to us or a couple of rugby clubs have tried to launch a sevens, didn't quite take off. And then just through sort of pure contacts, just through sporting contacts, education contacts, and a few other things that I've done in business. We managed to get 16 men teams for the first year, which sort of launched us off. And yeah, it's sort of, you summed it up really. It was just in the middle of nowhere, so it's perfectly neutral. I think everyone was happy with their 2-hour round trip to the middle of nowhere, and as usual, we give them a good looking after, plenty of booze, plenty of fun, somewhere to sleep, and that was about it really. So it's sort of grown from there.
I made it to the first time last year, and I travelled up from Portsmouth, and I think I lost count after the 4 hours. I think it made it about 6. I don't know. And I was like, all there is just signs in a different language that I don't understand, and just more hills and fields. I was just like, I was about to ring Stu. I was like, mate, I'm lost. Like,
yeah.
I don't know where any of this is. But so 11 years this has been going, and obviously it's grown more and more. Obviously the facilities have got better, entertainment. How did it go from 16 teams to where it is now, especially with such a major blip like COVID in the middle as well, which must have thought, fuck, how am I actually going to resurrect this? Or did you manage to just survive through?
Oh, well, to be honest with you, my only memory of whenever somebody says COVID is just my index finger pressing refund on a lot of money, which was, it almost put us in a right pickle. But we sort of, as I said, we were quite happy with the 16 teams, and it was a fair sized tournament for where we are. And what we sort of struck quite early on was a lot of the teams really did want to divide into a bit more competitive sevens compared to the sort of super social, play half cut in fancy dress sevens. So that was the first sort of surge really in team numbers. I got no background in events or anything like that. I'm a PE teacher by trade. So all of a sudden there was a few years of learning how to get a bit of security on site, where to put the fences, how to separate some of the camping, and then just sort of logistically what that looks like. And then the big one for us really was how do we get more women here for the men, essentially, which I think was a fair question. And then so obviously the women's rugby grew quite quickly as well. And then the school site that I work at has got a number of netball teams, and as you can imagine, even more fields around the back, and plenty of Welsh signs. So we started to introduce netball just by shuttle busing them down just for the Saturday. And all of a sudden, without even realising really, we were 3 years down the line and we were around 1,500 people. And it just sort of continued from there really, and we just kept sort of adding pieces of the jigsaw, if you will.
As you said, you've now reached roughly sort of 1,500 people over a weekend period. How does How much of a team do you need throughout the year? Because everyone will probably just, all they see is that one bit of the weekend, the 3 or 4 days of fun. But it's like Santa Claus, isn't it? You've literally got a full-time activity all the way up to those 4 days, because everything you pre-plan in those 4 days usually goes wrong and you got to start again. How many have you got behind the scenes that save the day?
I think we're lucky. It's sometimes as well. It's not numbers. It's just good people, I think. To be fair, we started off. It was myself and a few people from the rugby club, and then obviously that's sort of grown now into. We've got a full group of around 10 boys who sort of will take time off work. They'll be there for 16-hour shifts on the weekends, probably 24-hour shifts on the actual weekend itself. They're basically powered by booze, pizza, and coaches, basically, I think. And then it's grown into the family we've got around. The security team are the same people every year. The media team, the medical team are the same people every year. And it's been, even the music side of it. It's been really good, to be honest with you, just to see their teams growing as well and their businesses growing. And just playing a small part in that, knowing they've got a bit of security with us, we've got a bit of security with them. And I would say you sort of, if you're looking at the medical, the security, the boys that we get on board and everybody else, there's a good team of about 60 to 70 of us on that weekend that are all sort of radioed up and trying to deal with whatever's thrown at us, really.
Yeah, because it's the Saturday's sort of bit more of the fun day. Then there's obviously the Sunday's bit more of the seven set up. It all sort of rolls into. You got the bigger events. Obviously, the Shane Williams game that we obviously have on the Saturday against the Unicorns, and obviously the women's that also play there. That you've got a few sort of bespoke games on the Saturday to welcome everyone, because it does start on the Thursday night, doesn't it? So it's sort of
So what we try to do about I would say sort of like 6 years in, but 6 years sounds like a long time, but it's 6 events where we didn't know what we were doing for the first 4, really. So I would say by year 6, we really looked at trying to increase really the sort of the experience and the value people were having when they were coming to us. So not just did the music increase and the sort of different genres of music and the amount of local acts, but we got, Flamingo Bingo in. We try to get these other things, white collar boxing soon followed. And of course, then the Friday night charity matches with the Tough Enough to Care Flamingo Unicorns just almost came at the right time, I think, for us. And I think for Stu and Tough Enough to Care to just take it to that next level in terms of value and sort of the build up and the experience. Do you know what I mean? Because I think where we are, to put it in perspective, we were looking at about 6,000 people attending this year. The population of Llanidloes is about 3.5. So just trying to get the locals on board and give them a weekend that is going to be in their calendar every year, without taking our eye off the experience of the sport, and that's why a lot of people are there, really. So there's a lot of bespoke little bits that we've tried to add in. I will give a shout out to Charlton Park. Now, the Charlton Park boys, I can see Stu nodding. They were one of the original 16 teams, and they haven't missed a year in 10 years. And to be honest with you, they pretty much invented the naked run on that first year. And it was one of those where the event was so small. I remember going home for a shower about 7 o'clock at night, where I don't leave the site these days really, just in case. But no, I went home for a shower about 7 o'clock, turned up, and all of a sudden I'm at the top of the site. I've just pulled in, and I was like, okay, there's at least 20 people there running around the pitch naked, and I got no idea why. So to be fair, they're a very, very big part of our family and our experiences, really. I would imagine, before you even ask the question, I'll save you the embarrassment. This year, I'd imagine there'd probably be about 250 to 300 people running naked up and down the pitch. it's a fair sight, like.
And that pretty much is rugby all in one situation. Like, you wouldn't find that at many other events, just random naked running around a field.
Yeah.
That amount of people, it would, especially in this day and age, there's a lot of easily offended people. So
yeah, no, I think people have taken to it quite well, really. As in, obviously, a lot of people wonder what the hell's going on, but then by the second year when a team comes back, they've got to have a nominated naked runner, so they do buy into it, all right, I think.
Brilliant. So, Stu, obviously, you now sort of become part of the pillar of Heart of Wales 7. How did that all start with the Flaming Unicorns? Was it there, or had you already been previously and then it sort of tied into that, or how did you get into it?
So I'd never been before. One of my jobs used to take me out Jordan's Way all the time, and I've driven past it almost every year and thought, oh, that'd be a good crack one year. And then I think randomly through lockdown, Jordan did a Horus Lads quiz, and I was invited to it because they had raised a bit of money through it, and we just got chatting, and Jordan says, well, if you fancy it, we'll sort something out. And then we turned up the first year not knowing what to expect, and it was just the best kind of crazy ever. And when Jordan says about family, this will be our third year in a row now, and you turn up and it is family.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even get through the gate, and there's half a dozen people coming up and giving you cuddles, and everywhere you go, people now know the Flaming Unicorns, and it's brilliant. And talking to the Charlton Park lads, I was out in Magaluf last month for the beach rugby, and tap on my shoulder at the opening night party, and it was one of the guys from Charlton Park that recognised me, and we had a cracking weekend. So it's just all about that rugby family. And anybody listening or watching this that is on the fence whether to go or not, I definitely don't take part in the naked run. So
get your tickets now. So obviously the Flaming Unicorns, we've discussed it previously on the sort of the channel with other bits. For those that aren't fully au fait with it, what was I know the non-PC version of the starting of the Flaming Unicorns, but there's also the underlying meaning of the Tough Enough to Care situation. Can you explain that for everyone, Stu?
Yeah, so brief overview for the charity. We set up 7 years ago. I lost 2 friends to suicide in the space of a week, and I was a product of a male-dominated environment. I'd grown up down rugby clubs, been in the military, done engineering, so I was that man up, macho, manly man. Mental health doesn't exist, and Tough Enough got set up. A few years after we'd set up, we thought, well, most of us are rugby lads. Let's stick on a charity match. And then after that, we'd all had a good laugh. Most of us had retired or we were semi-retired. And we thought, well, why can't we do it not on a regular basis, but more than just once a year? And that's where the Flaming Unicorns was set up. The PC and non-PC version. The non-PC, I had a falling out with someone and I wanted a charity match. They wanted a charity match against us, and I just wanted to get FU and their name on the scoreboard. So I had to go round the houses, flopping umbrellas, floating ukuleles, Flaming Unicorns. And the other version of it is that we kind of thought, well, this is the one, that a Flaming Unicorn's a mythical creature, and at that point, a man talking about his mental health was as much mythical creature as you could get. So we stuck with it, and every rugby club that we'd ever approached to go and do a talk at, and for free, we'll come and have a chat with the lads. They were very much against it. You know, we don't have mental health here. We're fine. You stick on a gangster unicorn, purple and blue shirt, rock up with a bunch of lads that are going to drink a hell of a lot of piss after the game as well. And all of a sudden, we've got waiting lists as long as your arm to go into clubs, and it's all around giving blokes that safe space. We've branched off now. We've got the ladies' team as well. Because it was so popular for the men's side, we want to make we want to make it available for everyone to have that space. And we've gone, I think we met you when we were down in Southampton. We've gone to Middle Earth in the heart of Wales and everywhere. And again, people come up to us. They want to get involved. They love the kit. They love all the merch. The kids love getting a unicorn bucket hat and all that stuff. But at the baseline of all of everything we do, it's just making sure people have got an avenue to talk about their mental health. And I think more so now than ever before, in sports clubs where it's that outlet for people, it's where they find that support group and that network as well. So we just want to make sure that people can talk. And as much as the Heart of Wales weekend is a party weekend and it is phenomenal, the amount of conversations we've had in one of Jordan's fields, just by him saying, come and chuck a ball around, stick out a super social team as well, and we put the tent up and people will come over and open up, and it's the first time they've ever done it. So, we always say it to Jordan, but again, thank you for giving us that stage to support. The 6,000 people going, if one person has a conversation and one person gets that support, then in our mind, that's a win. It's brilliant.
Yeah, there's as we've discussed, there's so much going on in society, and there's funding's being cut everywhere. You guys have created it as an opportunity for people. It's you've built it as a charity to help support people, and Jordan supporting with a platform like that to just even open exposure and awareness to 6,000 people. There's not many charities or situations that you can find a viewpoint of that amount of people to start with. But how much did that resonate with you, Jordan, to make that happen when you first sort of heard about the charity, then obviously met Stu, and he's all right bloke, and he, to be fair, and you kind of thought, right, I've got to really try and help support this and put this on a platform that it deserves? Yeah,
I think it's like a lot of things, isn't it? It's just that sort of natural progression, really, where, as you said, we met through good people at a very tough time, I think. And as he said, you come along to the first sevens that Stu come along to, and you realise quite quickly, these are our people. They are us, and as you said, I think in education as well, and obviously being in those environments myself, I think it's getting a bit tougher and tougher out there at times. I've lost a couple of people now, even since two lads since Christmas. So it's almost for some people where they know it's going on, and sometimes it's in a distance. But I think it does sort of hit home with people closer home sometimes as well. And then, like you said, it didn't take long to realise that they were our people, and it just evolves and grows naturally. And I'm a big believer in doing the right thing as it comes along when it feels right, and not forcing things. And I think that's how the men's game has grown in the sevens, and obviously when we introduced the women's last year was good, and we give it the same platform as the men's game. And then obviously again, there's they're trying to bite my hand off for another one this year, so I'm really looking forward to it, really. So for me, I think it's that natural sort of coming together for for good people and for the right purpose, which is what it's all about. Yeah, because there's a few superstars that sort of turn up as well. Obviously, I've recently just interviewed Josh Davidi was on the pod, so that's now out. That came out the other day, but I caught up with him there, and he sort of resonated how much it was like about giving back to the local community, back to Wales, back to obviously the mental health charity as well. He was like, he just heard about it and then just turned up. Next thing you know, he's roped into it, and then he's 3 years deep, and they're coordinating games at Cardiff Arms Park and all of these other bits. It's obviously you got Shane Williams, Andy Powell. There's been a few others. Some can't drive any longer because of the back of travelling to Heart of Wales sevens. But when you get there as well, like all the teams, there's a good majority of them are Welsh as well. You kind of feel absorbed within it as well, like because there's a lot of issues within Welsh rugby as an international stage and sort of on that. But when you go there, you kind of think actually. It's in very good hands. It's just bubbling under the surface. Do you sort of feel that, not feel part of being sort of keeping Wales rugby together, but having everyone in that one space to sort of showcase what can be done? Because the rugby on show is phenomenal, and the ringers that Shane brings in, he must have them wrapped up everywhere. There's a few bits to all that really. But I think, to be honest, Sue, my picture was always, there used to be a sevens tournament called Cwmtawi Sevens down in Portadowie in obviously South Wales, and I remember my brothers playing in it. I remember going down with my old man to watch it, and you watch the Fijians play, the army team play, things like that, and you haven't had that for a long time at that sort of level, and when we had that opportunity for it to grow beyond your sort of like club level, your sort of local level tournament, it was something that's been driving me for the last 10 years, really. It's not just a standard, but that enjoyment factor. And like I said, we've got teams coming from Ireland this year, Scotland as usual. We had a team from Holland last year. And I think the retention rate that we have is probably in the 75 to 80%. So although we do grow, we're not this, I still teach full time. We're not this big hidden multi-million benefactor that's putting all sorts of money into it. It's growing in its own time, and it's, when it's time to add a piece of the jigsaw, we're adding it, not forcing it. But that retention rate is everything to me, because I think, like, as Stu said earlier, when a team walks through the door and they come through those gates, and I know 80% of them from last year, the year before, 6 years ago, they're getting that welcome. But also all the other teams, again, are welcome with each other as well. So, the word family for me is massive when it comes to it. It's what are we doing to look after everybody this year and add some value. And like I said, from that Welsh experience, we have obviously got to that point now where, we're size-wise, we're obviously a lot bigger than the other sevens tournaments in Wales, which are a lot more local and things. And, we feel quite proud, really, of just putting us on that platform UK-wide. So, yeah, that's a good thing. And giving everybody a good welcome is obviously massive for us. And, it's little things. It's little things like I'm hoping people tell us about the little tweaks that we need to make. For instance, we had a year where we jumped from 1,500 people to about 3,000, and we pretty much doubled in a year. Oh God, when you're going to bed Friday night and you've already run out of toilet paper, when you've already ordered thousands of them, it's not a good feeling when you're sending 6 lads to different villages of different towns to try to get it. But again, they know and they trusted us to put things right. And I think that means the most to us, really, is just knowing that teams are coming back because they really have enjoyed.
Yeah, the only thing I could call out was the weather last year. That was pretty wet, to be fair. But as you said, though, 1,500 to 3,000, and then you found out that you didn't have enough toilet roll. That contingency plan, obviously, until it happens, like, you don't shit literally hit the fan sort of thing. But it's a case of, how do you now? Obviously, you learned from that. Do you have stuff on sale and return, or do you just over-order and have it backstocked for, there's a barn somewhere with just loads of shit roll tucked away for the year after?
A bit of both. Yeah, a bit of both. I to be honest, the biggest learning through sort of all those phases, I suppose, is, just don't skimp on getting good teams of people in. So for instance, we used to do a hell of a lot ourselves, and I probably pushed, not that they didn't want to, but obviously when you get in the thick of it, it's too much, and you don't realize until it is too much. And I'd say there was probably one year where I had to go to a toilet, a Portaloo myself, for a good little cry a couple of times, and you genuinely are crying, thinking, shit, this is fucking overwhelming. Like, this is a bit too much. And not that anything necessarily is going that wrong, but you just think, fucking hell, this is just something I haven't experienced before. Plus, I am fucking shattered before it's even started. Whereas, there's a lot of things we don't skimp on now, and not as if we did massively before, but maybe we just didn't have the money for it, because we weren't of that scale. Like I said, we can't speak highly enough of our medical team as 24 hours, all, for 5 days. But yeah, no, it is one of those where I think, special mention to obviously Sally, the wife, Sam, who has been with us for a good few years, who's Sally's brother, the brother-in-law. I think we used to take on so much ourselves that, it was. It was just too much. It was to the point of I can't do it again next year. It's going to fucking kill one of us. And to be honest, I would say to the point where even if somebody's saying something nice to you, you're fucking breaking down because you're just shattered. You're just gone. I remember the first time we had some celebrities up, or ex sort of pro players, and it was before the Flaming Unicorns game, and we had Sean Ollie, Lee Byrne, Mike Phillips. I think that was it, maybe. And I remember we done a Legends Lounge, So the idea is, again, you give some added value, get a few different tickets. And within the first 30 seconds, Sean Ollie obviously had the mic and he introduced the boys. And he said, I can see Jordan in the back there, massive credit. I didn't know this existed in Wales and blah, blah, blah. I literally turned around, went to the toilet and cried. So I would say the last couple of years, I've probably enjoyed it more myself as well, because all those potential issues, or 90% potential issues, you've got contingencies, you've got the backups, you've got the right people in the right places.
And obviously, Stu, as you saw firsthand from last year for even the Unicorns game, how many players was there?
I think we took 35 with us, and then we set up, and throughout the day, people were like, "Oh, are you guys playing tonight? Could I bring my?" It's like, mate, if you want a game, bring your boots. We'll get you a run out. And I think at the end, when we started drip feeding players on, there were probably between both teams, there was probably about 80 or 90 players on the pitch, and about 6 referees as well.
Yeah. So but obviously, to coordinate a game like that, Jordan, and obviously put just such a spectacle on, as you said, the contingencies, when they all fall together and all those teams have all worked out and you know everything there, and you get to the Monday or Tuesday night when everything's sort of done, do you now start thinking for next year, or do you just sit down and you sit and think, fuck, it's done? I just need...
Yeah, to be honest, I genuinely, and it's only happened the last couple of years, but sort of planning for next year started probably about 2 months ago, because you want the trial and error, you want to sort of try to tap people up, you want to sort of think about that logistically so you can tease things out and all the rest of it. But to be honest, when the actual event is done and dusted, I will hopefully get the majority of the cleaning done with the boys and the team about 7, 8 o'clock on a Sunday. I will pick a Chinese up, and normally my parents are at my house looking after the kids. And obviously me and Sally's had a bit of a weekend of it. Try to fall asleep as quick as I can because I'm in work teaching fucking 8 o'clock next morning on Monday morning.
Wow.
But yeah, it is one of those. It is one of those things where I'm in a bit of a habit of trying to enjoy the event because it's easy to sort of overlook something if you're not on the ball with things. But that Monday night is or the Sunday night even when you sit down and think, right, touch wood, nobody's fucking died, nobody's fucking done this, nobody's done that, that's happened, I've got one spare toilet roll for tonight for myself. Whatever the scenario is, when you sort of go away and you think, yes, it's done. That is a feeling you can't top. I think it's a very strange, accomplished feeling, but you're just sort of happy that everybody's enjoyed, everybody's safe. It's done what it's the job is there for. And then you start seeing the messages that week. You start reminiscing. You start having little catch up calls with people, and you realise sort of what has happened. You realise the impact it's had on people. You realise the money and the awareness you've raised. The fact that you've just had a rugby pitch in mid Wales with a combined 600 Welsh caps and 12 Lions toes and stuff like that on it. It's just surreal, really.
What's on the Chinese order? What do you normally order after? Is there a go-to, or do you just shout numbers and just hope you pick it up?
Yeah, it's basically give them the menu and just say one of everything, mate. Go for it. Yeah.
I should have put my mortgage on you saying Chinese, because every year we give you a cuddle on the Sundays we leave, and you just got that beaming smile. Can't wait for a Chinese tonight. Every year.
You know what? We work so bloody hard on our Sunday to start packing things down and fucking tidying the plate. Oh, it's mental. Our Chinese is something else. Like,
Is that become like a bit of a tradition now that it's Chinese, or do you just love a Chinese?
Yeah,
that much?
no. I to be honest, I think it's quick and easy, and the missus loves it. Kids are that age, they love it. My parents love it. But no, the go-to during the week is a full English, mate. Full cooked breakfast. I got to get them for the boys. Got to keep them refueled. So I dread my bill from the local cafe more than anything on Monday, I think.
Can we get that tiny little bit there clipped that Jordan prefers English?
Oh, I'll take that. That's
full breakfast.
So before the event, then when does it all start? Have you got enough time to do it over a period of time, or is it a case of right, bang, we got to get it in and out and done in a week? Is there?
So I'm sort of, again, I always count myself lucky. You know, I've coached in Llanidloes Rugby Club for combined 9 years over the last since I've been here. So I moved up in 2010. I'm from Neath originally. So I've coached in the rugby club. My boys are playing in the rugby club. Obviously, I work in the local school. I'm, out and about in the local community with a few bits. So it's, we've got a good relationship with a lot of, sponsors, businesses, the committees, clubs, and other groups and things, which is brill. And then we got a bit of a 2-week window really. So we just sort of work inwards really. So you start talking Monday, Tuesday. We'll have the big marquee, the big tops will go up. The generators, the electric, all that type of stuff will get sorted. Then probably Wednesday, you're looking at the glamping site. The glamping site will take shape. Then we make everything pretty then, sort of inwards. So we get the Flamingo Bingo stuff set up. For my own sanity, we'll make sure that we've obviously got the hockey stuff in a pile, the netball stuff in a pile, so we know that we can just grab and go. And then, Wednesday's always a funny one now, because it's sort of like you send the boys home, and then I'll have a nice little hour there. The outdoor stage will arrive late Wednesday night, and then obviously the music guys will turn up Thursday morning. And it just goes step by step really as the site builds. I do try to do my little infamous video updates where I am. It's literally me with my phone about 2 inches from my face, just saying hello, it's Jordan, and just showing around the site and giving little updates. But I think all that build up is such an exciting week, and the amount of people that offer to come down for an hour, or they want to pick their tickets up early just to ease the traffic on the gate, or what local businesses offering a couple of hours work, whatever it is. That week is such a good week. It's such a good build up, and again, the atmosphere starts there really. It's I count myself very, very grateful for the people involved.
It's quite impressive once it all comes together, and as you say, then it all ticks together. So this year we've obviously seen that Shane Williams has pulled out James Hook as one of the ringers. When I was speaking to Josh Stew, he said that he's already texting a few to try and hopefully top up the pot. Has there been any movement on that? Have we got any Fijians turning up just to sort of bolster the ranks?
The last I heard, I think Nico got about 17 different people asking him to come along. So if you ever play for the Unicorns or against the Unicorns and go, I'd love a run out sometime, careful who you say it to and what group chat you're in, because everyone's like, do you fancy a game? I've asked him and a few other lads to get their little black books out just to trying to put something out there. But when you got the likes of Big Alex Love, Big Alex Harrison coming out, Carl, you're putting your boots on, mate. I might even have a token 30 seconds at the end. To be fair, just by putting that out there, Shane's probably just hung his boots up straight away.
Retired straight away. But no, it's just amazing to be out, because it was quite surreal, because I was obviously drove up, played the game. Then I was obviously chatting with Andy Powell. I was chatting with Shane Williams. Then the Lions game was on the next morning, and I was sat watching a Lions game with Shane Williams, which was just mental. Some people pay an absolute fortune to do that. I was sat on a park bench in the rain watching a Lions game that kept glitching because Jordan can't get proper internet in the middle of Wales. But those moments when people come away and say for that, Jordan, I met my idol, I met this player, and it just seems to tie together. That must make all of the whole effort of inviting those people down, because the last thing you want is an ex-pro or one of them that turns up and everyone comes away and says, what a fucking knob. Because it does happen at other events, but that just seems to not happen at those events when people just just sit, chat, and it just carries on. And that must make it so much easier for you to invite those sort of people along. Yeah,
and I think it was quite hard to get the first one. And then once we got sort of Mike Phillips over the line with Sean Hawley and stuff, I think, you again, like you said earlier, you build a bit of a relationship with them, and they know who's who and what's what and who will be good value and things like that. And yeah, I'm just so glad it's grown, to be honest with you, on that side of things, because obviously with the women's game now on that Friday night, we had Rachel Taylor last year, who is an ex-Welsh captain, player, barbarian, absolute legend. And then she brought probably only about 800 caps worth of women's talent with her. And then this year now has just been again gone on over to Jenny Treacle and Ellen Evans, who have got 160 or 170 caps between them. So it's good to see, personally, like sort of them seeing the value in it and them seeing an outlet in it as well. And that Friday night is just is talk about surreal. You got the women's game is just epic. Last year I was just so, not that I wasn't expecting not to be blown away, but it was just that exhibition style rugby, and it was just epic. It was unreal. And then obviously we got the air drop, the parachute drop at 7:00, and then obviously followed by the men's game as well. And I think it's an adult event, and I think we've played around with things in the early days about trying to get things down there for kids in the day and all that type of stuff. But the way that we've grown now, you can't sort of move away too far away from the 18 plus. But we do have a cut off at 9:00, so we do allow. Kids are free. Children can come down with their families, with their parents, and everybody else. And we encourage you. Obviously, have a bit of sense around a few drunkens, but there's nothing too serious like that really, and it's all done in good spirit. So to see them sort of really clinging to that 9:00 deadline because they want to wait until the end of the game to get their rugby ball signed, to get their vest signed, to get their jersey signed, all that type of thing. The couple of messages I have after it, and it's sort of like my 10-year-old has just got his ball signed by Shane Williams, and it's surreal, like it's surreal. But no, in general, like you said, those little anecdotes, those little comments, those little memories, those little things that they'll just keep them forever. You won't have that moment again with Shane, will you? At that given time, there and then, doing that. And I knew we were onto something after about year 4, I think it was. And I knew we'd cracked the whole male female, and we'd had the balance, and we were starting to grow, because I had a phone call from one of the local shops, and they said, "Bloody hell, John, why didn't you tell us this event was on?" And I was thinking, bloody hell, I'm having a row here. What have I done? Well, by Saturday afternoon, we'd run out of toilet roll, paracetamol, and condoms. And it's those little memories, it's those little things that people just sort of randomly 2 years, 4 years, 6 years down the line, and they just say, God, I remember that. And you just think, yeah, it was bloody funny, like it was good.
What's the ultimate goal then? Where does it go? Because obviously, as you said, you're trying to grow it organically, trying to add more. Obviously, you've got sort of an elite level, etc., etc. What's what's the ultimate goal? Are you going to start trying to? Is it international teams coming into Heart of Wales Sevens, or?
I think there's dreaming and then there's realistic, and you've got a full spectrum in between, haven't you? I think the difficult thing for us, if we're talking seriously, I think we're difficult where we are with sort of things like the distance, and accommodation is a massive one. There's the nearest airport is 45 minutes away, but they can only fly sort of little things. And then you're 2 hours, and this is why I say we're perfectly neutral, because we are 2 hours from Cardiff, 2 hours from Carmarthen, all the border, Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool. So I think realistically, I think, we can't throw £50,000 at Facebook ads and try to grow by 5,000 overnight. I think for us, it is that word of mouth. It is just doing a good job, and it is just adding that value and experience, and focusing on our retention rate, and hopefully keep doing what we're doing well and tweak the other bits, really. I think when you look at it, obviously you've got Bournemouth Sevens, which is a different animal in itself. 30,000 people. I've spoken to Dodge a few times, and he's a great guy. We're probably in that second to fourth bracket in terms of size around the UK, in terms of other events that are between sort of 5 and 10 and sort of fluctuating or stalling. But I think there's growth there to be had, but there's no rush. I think I'm conscious I'm in it for the long haul, and I think people involved are in it for the long haul. There's options that we could, just sort of take a few more farms on and hire a few more fields and everything else, hopefully, and just growing naturally, which would be nice.
I think that's quite crucial for events as well. A lot of events sort of try to outgrow the organic stage. For you to say that you've done 11 years, you've learned the hard way, you've run out of bog roll, you've managed to find enough of it to save they're the bits that events that throw a lot of money at and hope that they can grow from, as you said, the 50 grand's worth of Facebook ads. They wouldn't have enough bog roll. They wouldn't have all those other bits. They wouldn't have the team that you've built. So it only adds together, because, as you said, your retention rate, Stu, in the WhatsApp group, constantly in the build up to it, is Heart of Wales Sevens. It's like a countdown. People want to come back, and you can't get that from a new event that gets shut down every other year and comes back with a different name. So massive kudos for that, and to grow that. But as you said, the location's difficult for international teams because they want a hotel next door, and they're not going to build a hotel next door to your rugby club just for Heart of Wales Sevens, unless you get some Saudi money and nobody comes in from.
Yeah, like I said, we've just as a side note, really, we launched 5 years ago something called the Welsh 7 series. So that was essentially, again, just listening to teams, listening to what they want, and it was the sort of 2 or 3 elite Welsh teams, if you will. So, back in the time, just sort of shout out to Preseli Barbars, Carmarthen Warriors, sort of who've again been with us since the very, very early days. They don't really want the super social, and they're good boys. They'll stay there all weekend and drink and things. But when it's rugby, they want the high level rugby. So what we done with the Welsh 7 series was we've got the first round was actually last weekend, so that was down in West Wales. Then we've got round 2, which is Central South Wales, so we'll be in Tonna this year. So we've gone Carmarthen round 1, Tonna round 2, and then we've got round 3, which obviously comes back then, and the big finals then at the Heart of Wales. So, something like that, we've gone from worrying about losing 2 or 3 elite teams because the competition isn't there, to almost trying to give them what they want, around 3 rounds, £5,000 prize money, video recording their games with commentary and giving them the full experience. Where this year now we've got 12 elite teams who are, apart from Remy, which is obviously the military team, we've got 11 elite men's teams that are competing. Now that, again, talking about what you would have wished for a few years ago, I remember the year one of the Welsh 7 series where we had 6 teams and we were begging anybody to play, and it was sort of a bit of a tough sort of nut to crack, really. But again, that's been organic. That's grown slowly. It's got a pathway in place, and now we've got 3 new teams this year that have cropped up from different parts of Wales, and they're straight in on the full series. So for me, it's listening, having those relationships, hopefully being open so people know that they can throw some ideas your way. And sort of grow there, really. So, for me, it's not that one event. It's adding back to the whole sort of experience as much as we can in Wales, really. Because the one event that we just done now, we had 95 teams, and 85 teams of them were under 16 boys and girls, down to under 10s. They need an outlet, they need a funnel, there's a demand there for it, for a professional event on that scale. So yeah, we're just sort of growing as people talk to us and have a listen to what they want, and hopefully put something in place, which is what it's all about, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't even know about that. Obviously, but 7 seems to be a lot of people. You love it or I'm not built for 7s. Stu's not built for 7s. Like,
how dare you?
I'm not, but I'm fully on board and think that it's the easiest way to bring people into the game and engage people if it's dealt with properly. When you said about obviously your recording, your commentary, etc., how have you found that being? Is that sort of have you had much of an uplift? Because 7 seems to be a really hard product to sell or view. For like, obviously TNT pulled out of the World Series. That's now on Rugby Pass, which is free. Everyone that seems to want to try and push the game forward seems to struggle to sell the product that I think could change the way we see the game. How have you found it? Or has it become easier because it's local teams, local production, local situation?
Yeah, I think it's sort of again, maybe a bit personal, but obviously, like I said, I still teach full time. My mortgage is on my job. Do you know what I mean? I've got that security, touch wood, that I can, me and the wife, we both teach in the same school. So, we've got that security where, if I was, if the 7s was to go kablamo tomorrow and we could, we could go to 0 and it never happens again, we'd sort of carry on. Whereas I think a lot of businesses obviously will have to really look at how they sell that product, but they will sort of go all in or bust, where, as we've mentioned, because we're doing it incrementally, when we're adding things, it's almost like a low stakes decision. Even though it's costing us a lot of money, it's low stakes because I know that money's there to be given, and just be used to add value. So like, if you look at the video in this year now for the Welsh 7 series, I've always called that the non-profit part of the business. So all the other 2 events down South Wales, all that money will go back into prize money. It will go into the experience. It will go into the communication. It will go into having a good refereeing team. It will go into, proper good, over the top medical care for a junior tournament type thing. So something like the videoing for me is the added value that, because the 7 series has been going so well and we've got new teams, I'm not pocketing that and going to Barbados. I'm putting that back in. So I think that is where maybe, you listen to Boma Sevens with Dodge, and he talks about how he remortgaged early on in his career to get it off the ground. And I know it was a different era and a different time, sort of, 25 years ago. But we haven't had to go that route and do that. So I think, for us, the product is for the people at the moment. It's not about getting new people. It's about servicing and having a really good product for the people that are already involved, keep that retention rate, and then the base grows naturally. Like one thing, for instance, now is talking about planning for next year. I'm speculating in my head about maybe trying to introduce like a big boy tens. Simply because about 4 years ago, maybe, we introduced women's tens. And like you were saying earlier, even though it can be quite niche for the sevens, obviously introducing the tens, that just took off. So this year we've actually got 16 teams. Is the first competition I sold out was the women's tens. And it's probably just because it's a bit more social, a bit more inclusive for positions and everything else. So again, we just, and I always remember because I put a poll out on Facebook and we had something like 400 replies, which was quite high for back then for me. We had about 400 replies and it was something like 75% do not introduce women's tens, keep it to sevens. Luckily I just listened to the people that were talking and the demand that was coming in. It hasn't looked back really. It's one of the first ones that sells out most years really, but this year it's soaked up double quick, which is good. So yeah, if we could duplicate that into sort of a big boy tens, then you're opening up another group of blokes that might just want to get away for the weekend.
Yeah, so there's an event here in Spain. So it happened just the weekend just gone. I wasn't able to go, but it's called Fat Rugby.
Okay. Yeah.
So it is perfect, right? So the unicorns, obviously, I'm already, Stu, this is already in there. So,
mate, that is definitely where I park my car.
Right, so it's 8 players. So it's 8 aside, right? But you can't be under 90 kilos. You have to be 90 kilos or above to play. Everyone has to go in a scrum. So if you go into the scrum, all 8 players go in, the ref feeds it in, and then the 8 has to pick it up and pull away while one of the flankers comes away with them. So like it's chaos. Like, so if there's a scrum, everyone's in. Everyone's in, the ref feeds it in, and then you have to like play on. But like, yeah, it looks banging, mate. Music festival weekend, unreal.
I think it could take off, I reckon. I reckon we could get after it, yeah.
I reckon we can have a crack at that this year on a Friday night.
Yeah. 8 aside. And I think they only paid €35 for the whole weekend, all their booze included, all food, music festival, camping, the whole lot. Crazy.
Well, you can get rid of that. I can see where you've moved out there now.
But yeah, no, that was just unreal. Like, I was thinking, this needs to creep across to England.
You've got to sign me up for next year before that goes bankrupt. I've got to try that.
We'll have to get a unicorns team in there, 100%. Stu, obviously this year, big focus again on the game. Obviously 2 sides going out. What's the main message you guys want to keep relaying back to everyone? Obviously, the main focus of this episode's been on the Heart Wales Sevens and part of it, but the unicorns obviously got a big part of my heart and obviously everyone else that comes part of it. It's just where and what is the vision for the unicorns? Is it a continual growth as well? Because obviously Alex is part of the team now and you sort of do it full time and changing lives, mate. It's just they kind of go unnoticed.
We go where we're asked. We've gone kind of past the point of approaching clubs now. We're trying to work through the backlog of clubs that want us to go there. It was a fundraising team. That's what it was. The unicorns was to raise money so Tough Enough to Care could go and do the work. That's what we set out at. And the question was, are we going to sell enough merch at that place because it's quite a small club? And I'm always honest with people. Just like Jordan's developed and evolved with the sevens, we've done that with the unicorns, and it's no longer how much are we going to make there? Are we going to get a good enough footfall there? It's, do you know what? If there is that one club that's got a car park the size of a postage stamp, that there might be 3 men and his dog watching the match, if they're desperate for us to go there, then there's a reason they're asking for us to go there. It's not because they're going to make 10 grand over the bar. There's a genuine reason. So I think where we used to want to go was world domination, get us on the world stage, and that's not it. We want to go to the places that genuinely need these conversations. And with my charity hat, with the Tough Enough hat on now, so many times people will act out. They'll act in a way that they want people to ask if they're okay because they don't know how to reach out for help. And I'd like to think that the way the Unicorns is going, we can go to those places that really need the help but don't know how to ask for the help. They can just say, can you come and have a charity match? Knowing full well that with the merch, with the crazy stash, we're also bringing the message of today is the safe space. Even if you don't feel safe any other weekend of the year down this club, today, this weekend is the safe space to have that conversation. And that's what we want. And off the back of that, we always say to anybody, if you've played with or against the Unicorns, you're an honorary unicorn. So it's to kind of leave that legacy at the club. We'll leave all the merch. And the biggest thing, me and Alex leave our contact details. So a couple of people at that club can just go, I know where I can send someone now, because before I didn't know. And so in terms of where we want to get to, we want to, just like Loose Heads and other people like that, aim and focus at these rugby clubs, sports clubs in general, but mainly rugby clubs, because I think that's where the man-up attitude has been left to grow unchallenged for so many years. We just want to become that, not the household name, not the go-to name, but one of the names that people go, if you're struggling, mate, there is someone there for you. You're never alone. And to also create a culture in the club that you don't have to reach out to someone else. You've got that group within the club. You've got your band of brothers. You go to war for 80 minutes for each other, kick the living piss out of people for each other on a Saturday, kick the living piss out of each other on a Thursday, like within your own team. Why can't you reach out to someone and say, I could do with a chat? And that's what we want to get to. We want to get to people just being able to open up and just be honest with each other and say, I'm not in the best place right now. And there's no judgment there. There's no fear of judgment or stigma. And they can just have a chat. And like I said before, that's what I love about the Heart of Wales weekend. It is 99.9% party. Everybody is there to have a good time, and everyone does have a good time. But on the occasions where someone's not been having the best time, for us to have the opportunity to be there for them, they haven't got to go and sit in the tent and wait it out for 48 hours before they get their lift home. They haven't got to get picked up the next day because they're just not feeling it. They come over to the big, massive, 12-foot, huge purple unicorn marquee and just pull one of us aside and go, I could do with a chat. And we're there. We're there available on site. Not as counsellors, not as psychiatrists, just as someone that just gets it. And they can have that chat and just then go on to enjoy the weekend.
And then they usually walk away with a unicorn bucket hat and everything's all good.
Okay.
No one ever buys flip-flops, though.
I was just about to say, how many flip-flops have we still got to sell? Like, off the back of this, we might have...
I haven't got a desk.
Mate.
I haven't got a desk, but I've just got stacks of flip-flop boxes.
I'm actually sat on a box of flip-flops right now.
Gents, it's been an absolute honour to get you on. Obviously, we'll be up there. We've got a little proposition for Jordan after this episode anyway, so we'll chat that offline before we throw this onto YouTube. Gents, for anyone that's still on the fence, one last little message from both of you separately, however you want, and then I'll do the little outro. And
yeah, no, thanks for having us on. Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Like I said, I think hopefully we're doing the right things with the right people, and it's not. You can't go far wrong if you've got the right people involved, can you? So it's all positive for me. It's good.
The Heart of Wales Sevens is by far the best weekend in the rugby calendar, the social calendar, the family calendar. Honestly, it is just from start to finish, family, fun, and rugby. It's amazing. So get there. And you know what? If you don't like it, you don't have to come back, but give it a chance.
Jordan will batter you with emails to keep you on that retention rate. So anyone...
That's right, yeah.
Everyone, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you haven't got your tickets, make sure you get to this one. If you can't get to this one, get to the next one. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.